the question that I have is, does getting hurt by an Oleksandr Usyk mean that he's done? Is there a big difference between being hurt by Deontay Wilder, one of the biggest punchers, if not the biggest puncher ever in the heavyweight division, and being hurt by an Oleksandr Usyk? And I don't know what your answer is to that. I don't even know what my answer is to that, because Usyk, while a former cruiserweight champion, he has grown into heavyweight, and he may very well have more power than expected. And plenty of cruiserweights have gone up and been able to hurt heavyweights. And I brought up Steve Cunningham. Steve Cunningham never really grew into heavyweight after being a cruiserweight, and he hurt Fury back then. And we thought the world of that, and Fury ended up succeeding plenty after that.
I've heard many people say this, and I've read it in books, and I've heard it from the mouths of fighters. They say that when fighters are in tough fights, in grueling fights, both psychologically and physically, a bit of that person, and this might sound a bit dramatic, but this comes from a lot of people, and I know you would have heard this as well, a bit of that person is left in that ring. And Tyson Fury has had tough, grueling fights in recent years. Never mind all the other stuff, which we could get into, and that remarkable comeback of being, what was he, over 30 stone and all that other stuff. People know that story. We don't need to go into that. But the 3 fights with Wilder, a fight I don't think we've mentioned yet is Francis Ngannou, where he was dropped with a left hook in the 3rd round. Not only would that have taken a bit out of him, because that was a big old shot, and he found himself on the canvas in a fight which was meant to be a walk in the park. But then that bout with Oleksandr Usyk, there's no way that Tyson Fury is today the man that he was before he had all of those bouts. So how much does that affect him as well? And all of these questions are questions which make this so intriguing. But I feel this is a bit Tyson Fury heavy at the moment, and we're not really going on to the Oleksandr Usyk side of it. And sometimes we see people become old men overnight. And you hear fighters say they kind of lost it overnight, but they didn't really. It was the fights beforehand, and age catches up with them. They haven't quite got the reflexes and the speed and the power and the brain and everything else which goes along with it. Is there any risk that Oleksandr Usyk could become an old man overnight? Is there any risk that his performance against Tyson Fury last time was his absolute peak, and he's potentially going to fall from that? Or do you not see that being something of significance?
I think there's absolutely a risk. Usyk is about 1 month away from his 38th birthday, and he has been fighting for so long in his life. He had that long and illustrious amateur career that preceded it. I wouldn't say that he's taken significant punishment in his pro career to the point that I'm concerned, but he's fought at a high level for so long that, of course, time and wear and tear and all the damage that he's taken can get to him. And he was getting hurt by Fury early on, so there could be pieces of Usyk that were left in the ring as well, even if he was never reeling rope to rope, pillar to pillar, pillar to post, the way that Fury was in that 9th round. We never know how a fighter truly looks in training camp in between. We're always going to hear that it was a great training camp, that they're at 100%, they're going to do their best on fight night. We won't know until opening bell or sometime thereafter on Saturday, but it is a concern of whether Usyk, after all his time and being in with men who are naturally much bigger than him and have pummeled him, will get to him.
Do you know what? The worst question in media, which is asked to fighters, and guess what? I've been guilty of doing it in the past as well, and I've made a strict rule with myself. I never ask now, how was training camp? It is the most boring question on earth, because your answer is always going to be really dull and boring. Training camp was great. I've had fantastic sparring. It's been this, it's been that. I've never been in a better place. Maybe actually the question isn't boring. It's just the answers which you will always get back. Because if you got the open and honest answer from Tyson Fury last time round, his answer probably would have been, do you know what, Darren? I'm a bit worried. I haven't sparred for this because I had the cut last time and I was worried about losing 10 million quid. So actually, training camp has been great, apart from I've not done any sparring. But there's no way in a million years he's going to come out and say anything like that, is he? So, like you say, until that opening bell goes and you watch the first couple of rounds, nobody really knows, other than the people really, close to them. And this goes back to the conversation we were talking about with Sonny Edwards the other day, doesn't it? Like it's about the people who are closer to them.
These are good and important questions that we're asking in terms of how much is left for these two men after their careers, after their lives, after this one fight.